We begin this evening in South Korea, where President Yoon Suk-yeol has been impeached for declaring martial law earlier this month.
South Korea just set a world record for having the shortest martial law in the world's history. However, as brief as it was, the effects of this martial law are still present in South Korea even today. But why would that be? Let's break it down. Many Koreans were going to bed and unwinding on the night of December 3rd, but around 11 p.m., chaos unraveled. It was a late-night broadcast from South Korea's president, Yoon Suk-yeol. And it wasn't just any late-night broadcast. The president had declared martial law on the country as the country was going to sleep. Koreans were shocked, and rightfully so. But what is martial law? For those who don't know, martial law happens when an army takes over control of a country instead of the country, and all important parts of the government, such as the assemblies, etc., are all dissolved. Freedom is also restricted during a military's regime over a country. As Korea has seen two martial laws, with one being the reason for the Gwangju uprising back in 1980, martial law does not bring back good memories. Hundreds died due to the martial law, and Koreans have not found it easy to forget the effects even after decades. Naturally, this caused an uproar among the Korean public. The president blamed North Korean forces and anti-state forces in the parliament as reasons for implementing martial law. But for Koreans, this was far from the truth. Yoon Suk-yeol was just going to find ways to regain the power he had been losing over a period of time. As an ultra-conservative politician, he promised his supporters that he would bring an end to liberal laws and regulations in Korea and create more conservative laws. But this all went down the drain after he was only able to veto liberal laws that were being proposed, and this did not make any of his supporters pleased. Yoon Suk-yeol's approval ratings were seeing a decrease, going from around 20% to 16% within just a few weeks. Many believe this was an attempt to dissolve the current government and leverage the situation to its own benefit. However, we can now say confidently that his move backfired. But what happened next? Let's discuss the next 6 hours of pure chaos. After Yoon Suk-yeol had made the bizarre announcement, many citizens reported that they had seen military vehicles such as trucks and helicopters making their way to the parliament. In a short while, many Korean citizens had stormed out on the streets to protest the martial law, heading towards the parliament as well. The military started barricading the gates and banning entry of anyone into the parliament, as they did not want the martial law to be overturned. Members of the National Assembly broke through the barricades to storm into the parliament. You see, members of the National Assembly have the option to legally force a president to void a martial law if in majority. And that's what they plan to do. Around 1 a.m., around 190 out of the 300 lawmakers had managed to gather and vote for or against martial law. Surprisingly, after a tense moment, the ratio was 190 to 0, with all votes against martial law. Now, Yoon Suk-yeol had to lift the martial law, but there was silence from his side, and that worried the public. The protests continued all night in different parts of Korea, especially in the parliament area as Koreans continued to speak against martial law. Around 5 a.m., the country's efforts bore fruit. The president had lifted martial law, but the protests continued. Even Yoon Suk-yeol's party questioned his decision, and the world called for Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment. Following the declaration of martial law, the South Korean parliament attempted to vote on President Yoon's impeachment, but the attempt was unsuccessful due to a lack of participation. Only 195 votes were cast in the National Assembly because Yoon Suk-yeol's party had abruptly decided to boycott the vote, which required 200 votes to be counted. Only one of Yoon's People Power Party, PPT, 108 members remained, and the other members became unhappy about this result. In another public statement earlier in the day, President Yoon expressed regret for his actions. Although he said it was out of desperation as president, he regretted causing anxiety and stress to the Korean people by imposing martial law. He states that there will be no second martial law, as there had been rumors, and he wished to debunk them. Additionally, Yoon Suk-yeol said that he would accept full responsibility for his choices on the imposition of martial law. Koreans believe there was no sincerity in this announcement for them. At first, the People Power Party, PPP, had opposed Yoon's impeachment, arguing that he should step down. However, its officials claimed that efforts to convince him had failed. They said there are no other alternatives, and the president will have to be suspended to protect the democracy of Korea. As there is an impeachment vote on the 14th of December, it is very likely that the vote will be successful due to PPP's change of sides due to Yoon Suk-yeol's uncooperativeness. Many government officials have been brought into questioning by the police for roles in the implementation of martial law the past week, such as the Prime Minister Han Duck-soo and other higher-up army generals who the police suspect. The police even raided Yoon Suk-yeol's office over the investigation, but were stopped by presidential guards who did not let them enter the premises. Yoon Suk-yeol had another broadcast very recently, around 12th December. Yoon denied rebellion claims in his speech and promised to fight to the end, whether it be through impeachment or a martial law investigation. In addition to ignoring calls for his resignation, he claimed that he utilized his presidential authority to impose martial law to protect the nation and normalize state affairs against the opposition, which caused the government to become immobilized. This week, the army officer to lead the martial law named Park An-soo was fired from his duty by the Defense Ministry of South Korea. Even after almost 2 weeks, the protests and calls for impeachment have not died down in Korea, and it seems like the entire country has turned against Yoon Suk-yeol. New additions to the story are being observed daily, and as the impeachment vote looms, the nation and the world wait to see how this chapter in Korean history will end. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel.